Hey guys, Casey here with Sovereign Temples, and I'm super excited because today we have Holly, who is a therapist and a priestess and a temple guide for re-enchanting your world with tantric magic. And I just met this beautiful goddess, this priestess here down in Costa Rica, where we were attending a sacred secret with Ziva, and she just has this light, and you want to know what she is doing, how she is doing it, what her story is. And so I'm just so excited to just have a discussion with you today. And first off, just tantric magic. What is that? Like, what is a priestess, and just anything else that comes to your heart. But I know that we are in such a a time where consciousness is rising, and the priestess the priestess energy is here to help us navigate all of the contractions that we're going through, humanity, as we're rebirthing into this golden age of heaven on earth. So I just want to hand it over to you, goddess.
Well, I love that you brought in the birth metaphor, like birthing the new world, because really that's how I was first called. So I was called, oh my gosh, like 20 some years ago into birth work. And so we are really birthing the new world. I like to think of us as midwifing the new earth. And so I'm so happy to be here today. I think we all have our own inner priestess, really. It's our soulful self, our 2.0 version, the highest version of ourselves. And so we haven't really been given the practices to tap into this inner wisdom, our highest selves. And we're really remembering what had been taught for a very long time, typically in the temple. You would be, at 13, you would go and you would get all of this wisdom about how your body works, how to live prayerfully, but take the steps, how to be a sovereign queen in your own right. And we had models for what that looked like, what a priestess did in the world. And that particular position was very much honored. So now, history has us, we've learned how to play small in order to survive. And really, finally, I think we're all getting the sense that for the past few thousand years, we had to go underground in order to survive. And we're healing from that trauma. I mean, we're not holding a grudge. We're moving on. And we're remembering our own innate strength and divine wisdom that we come in here with. And we're helping each other remember. The best way to explain my journey is that I follow my highest excitement. I went to Montessori school as a little girl. I got that message that I got to choose my work based on what lit me up. So that's highly unusual, number one.
Yeah.
Number two, I remember a belly dancer coming to my Montessori school. She had a snake around her neck. And I was like, whatever is going on here? Literally, I was like 3. So one of my earliest memories, I was like, whatever's going on here, I want more of it. My dad was getting his doctorate degree at UVA, and it was a very international community. My parents lived in married student housing, and I found myself gravitating toward like Indian women. One day, my mom completely lost me because I was in this beautiful Indian woman's apartment, just hanging out with her, just drawn to the temple arts, to I guess really Kundalini energy. That transmission came in early. So I found this book. You can still get it on Amazon. Highly recommend. It's called Energy Ecstasy. And it was it was written in dedication to Osho. It was not written by Osho, but it was a lot of Kundalini practices, yoga transmissions, taking you through each of the chakras. And after I did that, and I'll be honest, a little plant medicine was involved in this, but I took the book into my room, took the plant medicine, and in a solitary way just activated all of my chakras at the age of 15. And I was like, whoa, why isn't anyone talking about this? Like, what? Literally, there was no one in my 3D realm that would be able to really understand what I had just experienced. So it didn't really become very practical wisdom for me until I had my first child. And that activation, I truly believe, and that breath, the power of the breath and the mantra, and even the mudra, enabled me to have an orgasmic birth with my first child. So that was really the initiation, was like, oh my gosh, we're supposed to enter the cosmos in an orgasmic cosmic orgasm. People need to know about this.
People do need to know about this. Because what's one of the cosmology that's near and dear to my heart, it talks about one of the fastest ways to divorce humanity from their sovereign divinity is to make them shameful about sex, to make them shameful about that orgasmic energy. Because people that are in tune with that level of orgasmic energy are very hard to control.
It did not happen overnight. I'm 53 years old, and the orgasmic birth, I started telling people, and I quickly realized that people were like, I don't even know what to do with you. Like, that is like not in the realm of possibility, and you are definitely not the norm, and well, good for you, but also like, that's not my experience. So I really played small. It's that tall poppy syndrome. I played small for a long time and didn't talk about it. But what it did do is it spurred me to become a childbirth educator and a doula. Yeah. So I went in, I was in the hospital, I was in the trenches, I was in there with the women that wanted the VBACs, that had the doctors that were just absolutely injecting fear into every moment. And my job was to create sacred space. And I just would dim the lights and I would pump in the temple music. Like when you have chanting going on, the caregivers get into entrainment with you. Right. And if you've got bright lights on, I mean, the way the baby comes out is very similar to the way the baby gets in. So you dim the lights, you create sacred space, and you welcome in a new soul with like love and devotion and reverence. It's not a medical procedure. It is a spiritual, ceremony, honestly. So that was really fun. And then I got divorced. It was terrible. I remember just going outside and lying down on the ground and just being like, hold me, mother. Like, I don't even know what I'm going to do right now. So, so I had to figure out how to support myself. And my children watched me grieve. They watched me like cry. I just had to say, babes, like mom's going to feel the feelings and we're going to get through this. But I think they watched me. Finally, I was tired of being sick and tired, and I just didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew that I wanted to be of service. So when I found out about occupational therapy, I was like, oh my God, we help people rewire their brains? What? Like they've been through some kind of trauma and we help them heal through activity and we help them be independent and self-reliant and empowered again. I want to help them be able to take care of themselves and find meaning in their life. And really learned a ton about intentional relationship, about how to run a small group, and then got hands-on practice in early intervention in peds and with outpatient neuro for about 10 years.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love it. What a journey.
Yeah.
And then from there into like the temples and the priestess, like what, obviously you had the initial that was always there with having that first orgasmic bliss. I mean, you could never have shaken that experience. So bringing you back, but is that experience what ultimately brought you back, or was there something else? Or
what ultimately brought me back was the remembrance that I'm a natural witch. Like I was holding circles on the full moon in college and just figuring it out on my own. Well, when I had kids and went back to grad school, I was just in a different form of service. And when they left, because I was busy, girl, I was like up at 4 a.m. doing all the things, 5 children, like definitely in service. Well, when they left, I was like, whoa, oh my gosh, I'm back. I can serve in a much different way now. And so I started holding circles again, and I started running retreats, and I decided to get trained very specifically. So under my scope of practice as a therapist, I deal with sexuality, I deal with rituals and routines and the daily practices. So that's like the 3D, right? I've got it. What I really wanted to do was remember the skills of the priestess. Like, what are the skills? How can I be a skilled priestess? I'm a vivid dreamer. And a lot of times, like, right before I wake up, I'll get like messages, images, stuff comes through in that liminal space. Let me tell you what, I had just discovered that Mary Magdalene had a lost gospel. In like the months previously. I grew up as a chalice bearer in the Episcopal Church. I love ritual, I love routine, and I was blindsided by this. I had no idea.
Many do not.
I did not know. And I dove in and I was like, oh, this is like the most practical wisdom about how to be perfectly human and perfectly divine I have ever come across. And I majored in English, philosophy, and theater, and like dive into all things personal growth and development. I was like, this. So I had just discovered it. Well, I woke up this morning, and this is not anything you typically want to tell people, but I'm going to tell you, like, a voice came in my left ear. It was very clear and distinct, and it was a command. It was not a request. And this is what came through. Because I jumped up and wrote it down. Reclaim your spiritual sovereignty. These are not words that I used at that time on a daily basis.
Yeah.
The other thing that came through was it's all happening at once, and some other things that I've been deciphering. But so I've just been following breadcrumbs, babe. Like, I got home and I was like, all right, this has something to do with Mary. Clearly, I know this was her. She came through. It's the divine feminine side. I know how to hold temple. I know how to run a small group. I know how to run a divine magical retreat. I've been doing all those things. But I have not trained as a priestess. How can I get trained as a priestess? And I found on the Shift Network. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but
I literally just learned about the Shift Network walking with a girlfriend like 2 days ago. She was like, have you heard of the Shift Network? And she started playing like Jesus's teachings in Aramaic. And it's like, yeah, we're in the house, Aramaic.
Yep, here's the book, Prayer to the Cosmos. Literally, that's how I pray in Aramaic. So,
I love it.
Yes. So I think it was called like the Magdalene Path or something. And I was like, hallelujah. I don't have to figure all this out on my own. There's people, doing this. And it was Elaine Kalila Dowdy. And I started following her. I did that program. And then I joined the Priestess Presence Temple. There are about 80,000 of us.
That's so exciting. Like 80,000, like the time is now. Like, the world is not going to hell in a handbasket. The world is being birthed into heaven on earth.
Exactly. And we're the ones that are bringing it in. So her mission, one of her missions, she has many, but I think she grew up close to Glastonbury, England. She's British, and she's a psychotherapist, and she found the 13 Moon Mystery School with Ariel Spilsbury some 30 years ago. So started going to temple and then guiding her own. And she realized that this was a skill set that's different than a therapist. Because when you're coming into temple, you're not coming into a sister circle where you just sit around and kind of bitch, moan, complain, or give life hacks and such. This is what we've been conditioned to kind of do. But what she taught me how to do was truly hold temple space and guide temple space, which is really leaving your ego as much as possible at the door, at the temple gate, and then stepping into your soulful self, into empty presence, and learning how to be a sacred witness for your sisters. And it's different than a therapist.
Yeah.
Right.
That's one of my favorite words is witness, like sacred, compassionate witnessing. There's so much medicine in compassionate witnessing. It's one of the greatest medicines for the giver and the receiver. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
If people wanted to experience this with you, like how could they go about doing that?
Oh, thank you for asking. Yeah, so I've been guiding these temples now for 3 years, and I named it the Magdalene Mystery Temple. Because
that's my girl. That's my girl. So
me too. Like that, when we call in the guides, she is really who I rely on. Yeah, I really, really resonate with Mary Magdalene. I guide a 7-month temple experience. And I never thought I was going to be transmitting Tantra, babe. I knew it was like under my scope, but I never knew that's what was going to be coming through. So I have figured out a really beautiful way to transmit this wisdom. We meet on the new moon, which I know you appreciate, every
Absolutely.
month. We do a 90-minute temple. We dance ourselves in, we set intentions for the month, and we're dealing with the frequencies that are going on astrologically to set our intentions. It's a more quiet, kind of contemplative experience on the dark moon. I have a Kajabi site with so many deepening materials that you can deepen as much as you want, or you can just, hey, I'm at the frequency where I just want to show up live. You can do that. And then we meet on the full moon, and the full moon is only a Zoom transmission because we are going to be diving into tantric practices. So I've been studying with Mama Gina, Layla Martin, Emily Fletcher. And so we are bringing all of the full magic of what that really is with sacred sexuality practices on that full moon. And then you get a 90-minute session each month with me just for like clarity, really like supercharging what you're pulling in this particular month, and how I can help give you the keys to really unlock that in your individual manifestations. Now I realize that it's so regenerative for me to get that one-on-one FaceTime, so I'm adding that in. And then we have a day retreat at a lake house in Virginia where we dance. We have so much fun. It is like, temple is like where you're braiding each other's hair and you're, adorning yourselves, and you're eating fabulous food, and you're outside and you're swimming. And so we just have a divine day together, and I call it the chakra dance party.
So I know that you guys have, you have been doing a lot of things for women only, and, talking about bringing the masculine in terms of like for couples, like what is something that you guys are, I know you have something coming up in Greece too. Saw that location looks incredible, but just for people that may be wanting to take this type of tantric energy in with their spouse or their partner, like where can they learn about that? Or do you have anything planned or something in the future? There's like a newsletter or a website. Just, I know that you guys are bringing that. And I just feel like, coming from a couple that I saw, like you and Roman, I just feel like, oh my gosh, you guys could bless so many couples.
Yeah, we won the lottery with each other for sure. He's the smartest person I know. And he just is so always in integrity. He's just a wonderful transmitter of very down-to-earth wisdom. So the way that we are framing this next temple year is I always start in October and I end in April, and that's very purposeful, right? So it's just like the old mythical stories of Inanna going down into the underworld for the darker months and then returning in the spring. That's what we all do collectively. The difference this year is that if you are going on the pilgrimage to Santorini with us in May.
And that's May of
May
2025.
of 2025. Yes, the 13th through the 21st. We are going first to Athens, going to take a day trip to Delphi because we're there. And then we go to the most luxurious villa in Santorini for really a truly romantic holiday where we will be getting transmissions on very specific tantric practices. You'll have date nights that you're going to go on with your partner. You'll have practices that will be introduced in a 6-week container. Roman's going to guide the men. So we'll have some sessions with just the men, some mostly with both me and Roman and the couples, and then a few of just me with the women. But yeah, so there will be a place to remember all of this wisdom that was hidden from us for so long. None of us learned how to take meditation into the bedroom. None of us learned how to bring breath into the bedroom. None of us learned about sex magic and taking the potency of your pussy, your heart, and your third eye to manifest in the world of form. So that's really what we're remembering, and we've been training to do, and are absolutely over the moon to be able to provide and be in service to this coming year.
Let me say too about this, what I loved when I was talking to Roman in the pool and just hanging out and getting to learn like about how you guys really also craft a lot of downtime.
Oh my gosh.
In your retreats, to where it's not like sun up to sundown, like go, go, go. There's a lot of restoration, rejuvenation, and just like time to be and to like see all the beauty that you're around as well too. So I just think that is phenomenal.
I'm really glad that you spoke into that, because we've been in both of us are generators. Okay. So like we've been very much in the like transmission mode from 7:30 to 10:30 at night on a lot of these retreats, right? And it's like awesome. We love it. And that is, we are providing something very different, because we love, like literally my gene keys. I'm here to take people through wormholes for miracles. the Earth's most beautiful spots. And so is Roman. So we're going to have a lot of time to just luxuriate, you know, have conversations with people, have time to dress for dinner, go on walks. I mean, you're in literally what we think may have been part of the lost city of Atlantis. They were not, you know, going. This was not like drudgery. They had a lot of downtime to just luxuriate and be.
I think so many of us have been doing a lot of work.
Yeah.
And so to know that we can do some of the work, you know, but also just have so much downtime for rejuvenation.
Yeah. I mean, it's in the word itself. Incredible. When you're retreating into, you know, into yourself, so that you can really be present and you're not rushed, and you can be in gratitude for this beautiful earth. I mean, and Santorini, babe, literally like, oh, like you're like Zeus and I don't know, Hera.
Okay, so share the websites. Share the websites or how people can learn.
Yeah, so mythicadventuretravel.com will have the details for the retreat. And then my website is Dura Mater Therapy. It's actually Latin for tough mother. Toughmother.com. I will give that to you. And then my main, I guess, social media platform is Instagram. So that's just my name, at Hallie Lifson.
All right.
Yeah. And that's
I'll have those listed, so we can just click on those.
And then to sign up for the temple, it's all on my link tree on my Instagram. Everything is there.
Perfect. Perfect. Is there anything else on your heart that you feel called to share for those that are here and just receiving and that want to be involved with a priestess in a community that is truly just here to nourish and support and help all these contractions and birthing going into this golden age that we're entering?
Yeah, I really think that what we're doing is evolving, and we've been in the solar plexus collectively, right? which is like the throne room of the heart. It's where we have the divine feminine, the divine masculine, and we may have our swords and our shields up, and we're like in our power kind of, and our will, right? And what we're doing now is coming together, both within, in a very like Jungian way, right? Within ourselves, so that we can sit in the throne room of our hearts, our compassionate hearts. Is remembering to be compassionate with yourself, remembering to be compassionate with others, especially when we get triggered, when our little egoic consciousness comes forth, as it will. And to remember when we are in that egoic state, to remember, oh wait, I'm actually perfectly whole and complete always. And I always am true, infinite wisdom. And I am my own inner guru when I have that remembrance. And we help each other remember. So it's wonderful to be in community where we can just be in empty presence and remember that we are gods and goddesses. And
communion, truly community. You're like communing at this just next level, you know, to where you're just communing in everything that you're starting to do, and your day-to-day life becomes the temple too, you know. It's your relationships, like all of them just become this like sacred mirroring, this witnessing.
I'm not saying it's always bliss. I'm not a bliss like,
and thank God for that, right? Like we came here for it all. Like it's like the ascend and the descend again and again, and it's like being. But too, it's like being peaceful even when it's not bliss. Like that, I think, is what I have realized too. A lot of like with the priestess teachings is it's like you can still have peace around some of the greatest pain and turmoil and terror. You can still reach this peace moving through that. And
do you know what I think of, honestly? Both being a doula, having 5 children, holding my son through coming off of drugs, like literally, like I think of Mary Magdalene and I think of her. I think of her being so courageous to walk into that space with all those men and to take that oil that came from the Himalayas, that was like a year's worth, right? The spikenard, and to pour it on him in a very loving and sensual way in front of everyone. And then to take her hair, because she knew what he was about to go through, and she knew that she was going to hold his gaze the entire time. And she did.
It is. And if ever any of us need help, all we gotta do is say, help Mary Magdalene.
It's for real. Yeah. She's like, I signed up for this. I'm here.
It is. Let her help.
Shout out to the Egyptian Coptics that hid that.
Yes.
I mean, they ripped out a few pages. I wish we had those few pages, but like,
I know.
Hey, thanks Coptics for doing that, because
and I think we can tap into what those pages are, you know, even out of it. But it's just like, yeah, praise God that they had the foresight, you know. But it's all good. We went through all of that, right? That was the descent, so we could all almost like, hey, okay, here's our armor, and just to know how sovereign that we are to co-create now this new reality that's building on that, you know, from 2,000 years ago of the Christ consciousness, you know, that they brought back.
It was always both of us. I mean, that's what Yeshua was really speaking into. And
you can't really even describe what happens when you're actually working with priestesses in temple space, and because the priestess surrendered, like you were saying, they surrender their ego, and the priestess has created the container, but it's the higher levels of consciousness that they allow to come through.
Yeah.
And that's who's really mentoring the whole thing.
That's who's mentoring the whole thing. So it's learning how to get out of your own way, trust and surrender, and I think really be seen. Because what I learned being a therapist, honestly, is one of the most valuable things on this earth is one-to-one, undivided attention on you. And that's what we get in these sacred spaces, which is just absolutely invaluable. And that's what we can remember to give to our partners and ourselves, because we have not been trained to do that. We've been trained to focus on the exterior, and, we are taught that we are unworthy. So we seek outside of ourselves to do, be, become, make ourselves worthy out here. When we remember that we are inherently perfectly divine and complete in our humanness and our divinity, we really can create from a place of true power and sovereignty.
Again, I want to thank you so deeply, and I just can't wait to be more in the journey of your priestess energy, and your beautiful, beautiful spouse, Roman. I know everything that you guys offer is just from such this beautiful space, and absolutely just spending 5 days with you guys and just interacting, life changing. So I just want to invite everyone, if you're feeling called, and this is resonating in anything that this beautiful goddess just shared, just check out some of the links. At least hit the follow on Instagram for when the timing aligns, which will be always divine and that divine perfect timing. So I just want to thank you so much, goddess, and I'm sure we'll be back sharing more things in the future.